So let's get back again inside of our test editor. We want to now be inside of passlogin.php. And then here, the first thing that we want to do is to do a var dump on post so that we can have an idea of the data that is being posted once we have added that checkbox to our form. So let's do a var dump on post, and then let's do a reload on the browser. So here I'm just going to put a username, and then I'm going to put a password, then click on sign in. All right, so once we clicked on sign in, you can actually see the post data. So we have the username, password, we have the token, and then we have the login BDN, and then we have g-reCaptcha-response. So this is the reCaptcha string. The reason why this string is here is to enable us validate the reCaptcha. So we want to send this back to Google and then ask Google if this is actually valid for our domain. If it is valid, they're going to return us a response, which will be success. And then we can then continue with our normal login flow. So let's quickly integrate that into our system. So right here, I'm going to get rid of all of this. Then the very first thing that I want to get here will be config. So I want to get my config. Let's just grab it from one of the files here. So we have a reference to config here. So let's just take it and then paste it here. And then I want to create another variable called the secret. This is going to be equal to config reCaptcha and then secret. Then I can actually just do a var dump to see if I am getting the actual secret. Let's do a reload on the browser. Before then, I'm going to copy this because I'll be needing it shortly. So let's just submit. Okay, so we can actually get the actual secret. Okay, so I'm going to show the login form again, and then let's come back to passlogin.php. So we know now that this is actually okay. We can get our secret. We need to actually post the response and also the secret back to Google. So I'm going to save that inside of an array. So I'm just going to call the array reCaptcha. It's equal to, so the first one will be secret, should be equal to the variable secret. And then the second one should now be what I copied just now, which is g-reCaptcha-response. So that will now be equal to post of reCaptcha response. So we can now say post of this. So this is what we need to post to Google to actually verify if the reCaptcha is okay. So in order to post this back to Google, there are different ways that we can achieve that in PHP. The most basic way will actually be to just use COIL to make a post request to the Google Verify API and then see what is the response that we get back from there. So we're going to be using COIL. So I'm going to set COIL to be equal to, so we say COIL be equal to COIL init. This is just to enable us init COIL. COIL underscore init, and then next we are going to set options. So we can say COIL set options, and then we're going to pass it the variable COIL, and then we're going to specify a constant which refers to COIL URL, which is the URL that we actually want to post to. So that will be COIL opt underscore URL. This is going to be equal to the Google Verify API, which is used for verifying reCaptcha. So we're going to grab that value from the Google website. So let's come back here and then scroll down to server-side implementation. Then you can see the URL here. So let's grab this and you can see what forms the actual post data, secret and then response. And we can also add remote IP if we want to include the IP of the user. Let's get back again to the test editor. Then I'm going to paste that here. And then next we're going to do another COIL options. So COIL set options. So the next option that we want to set for our handler, which is call, the variable that we created using call init, will be that we want to actually enable post. So that will be the constant call option opt underscore post. So we want to set this to be equal to true to indicate that we are making a post request. And then the next one will be the actual post data that we want to actually post to the site verify API to verify the reCaptcha response. So we do the same thing, call, set options, set it on the call handler. And then the option that we want to set now will be the actual post data. So it will be call option, post data, and post feeds. So we put a comma here and then say HTTP build query and then pass it our reCaptcha array, which is the actual data that we are posting. So on line 17, we specify the post feed, the data that we want to post. And then now we want to specify that we expect a response. So we're going to say call return transfer. We want to set that to be equal to true. So we're going to say call set option. On our handler call, the call option that we want to set will be to enable return transfer. So that will be return transfer. Then we want to set that to be equal to true. And then finally, we are going to execute the post request. So we can save that in a variable called response and then make this to be equal to JSON decode. So we can say JSON decode. We want to decode whatever is the response that is being returned. And then we can use the call exec function to actually execute the handler. So in this case, the handler is our call variable. So right now what we have done is post to this URL, google.com reCaptcha/API/site verify. So we post this data, which we stored inside of the array reCaptcha, to this URL, and then we JSON decode whatever they are returning back to us as the response. So we can do a var_dump now on this. So we can say var_dump, and then we can analyze what is the response. So let's do a reload on the browser. Going to just pick that and then just click on sign in. And here we get Boolean success is equal to false. And then we get missing input response. So the actual response is not actually sent as part of what we are sending. And the reason is because I made a mistake here. So this is supposed to be response. So let's get back again and give that a try. Okay, so the reason why that is response is right here, the stated response, but the value has to be g-reCaptcha response. Okay, so let's try that again. And then now we get Boolean success, and then you can actually see all the data that is returned. So it returns us a key that is called success. It's an std object. And then we also have the host name key. So when this is successful, we are going to have these three keys inside of the std class that has been returned when we do JSON decode. So we can actually make use of this inside of our code.